Welcome back to Hardball. Tomorrow night on CNBC and MSNBC, I'll be co-moderating a Republican debate here in Dearborn, Michigan. It will be Fred Thompson's first appearance as a presidential candidate. So how will he stack up against the other experienced Republicans? Here for a preview of what to expect is the chairman of the Michigan Republican Party, Saul Anuzis. Saul, let me ask you about this. Give me a color picture of this state of Michigan. What's it feel like? What does it look like up here right now?
Well, you know, look, we're a industrial state that obviously is the home of the domestic auto industry. We're the home of the Reagan Democrat. It probably has more self-identified independents than any other state in the country. People here tend to vote for the person and the policy, not necessarily the party. And you know, I think if you take a look at where the Republicans ever won here under Ronald Reagan and other times, it was basically because of the God, guns, and guts type of Republicans that came over, or the independents that came over and voted our way.
I've been saying a long time, anecdotally, because I love to do these things, that anybody with a gun in a boat, Hillary doesn't get their vote. Well, and I'm trying to be like Jesse Jackson here with a little rhyming here. But that guy, that independent working guy, he's hard to get for a liberal Democrat, isn't he?
I think he is, especially here in Michigan, and that's what makes it competitive. If you take a look at the last two presidential elections, I mean, within the last 48 hours, all the campaigns were back here in Michigan. The Democrats shoring up their base and the Republicans playing here, because the independent voter really does determine which way the race goes. And whether
How about Rudy out here?
Rudy's doing very well.
He's got a gritty image.
Yeah, he's doing great out here. I mean, I think if you take a look at him right now, he's leading in the polls in Michigan. He draws huge crowds when he shows up, and he's very well received.
Okay, let's put a picture up here. A gritty, big city guy with a long ethnic name from New York, tough on crime, great during 9/11, Giuliani, right?
Right.
And then this very waspy guy, this Mormon guy, Romney with the famous name out here.
Right.
Who wins?
I think it's a toss-up. I really do. I think it's going to be very competitive here in Michigan. You have to remember, I mean, first of all, this is the home for, you know, Mitt Romney. He was born and raised here. Anybody over 50 years old remembers his father.
And his mother was pretty popular.
His mother was popular as well.
What was her name?
Lenore.
Lenore,
and so, you know, you've got a very competitive state in that regard. And also remember, McCain beat Bush here. I mean, this is a very independent state.
I remember that. I thought a lot of that was the Catholics voting for the Mick.
Well, I think it was more the Democrats voting to embarrass Bush and Governor England at the time. Oh, absolutely. It was huge. I mean,
so let's talk about the auto industry. It seems to me that America was built by the big auto companies. I don't want to overdo it, but what's good for General Motors is good for America. Sure. But mostly it was good for workers. All those men and women who had really solid jobs working for the auto companies. They had health insurance because of the UAW and the Ruther brothers. Everything was working until when did it break? When did that sense of solid advantage that the American auto industry held all those years die?
Well, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but I mean, I think a lot of things played into that, and obviously the legacy costs when we started competing with the foreign companies coming in here, when Toyota and Nissan and Honda.
What do you mean by legacy costs?
Well, if you take a look at, for instance, a domestic car built by, you know, GM, Ford, or Chrysler, have probably $2,000 built into what we refer to as legacy costs, which is health insurance and retirement for the retirees.
Who are already retired.
Who are already retired.
So, in other words, every car is carrying this big bag called yesterday's employee.
Absolutely.
Whereas the new car, if Toyota comes in and opens up a plant in Kentucky, right, then they don't have any of those costs.
Sure. And they're also more flexible. I mean, our plants that were built 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago in some cases, where Toyota and these guys are building brand new plants, that's why CAFE is so important to us.
The thing that scares me is we've always counted on these union contracts to provide for a person's retirement and their health care in retirement. What happens when Chrysler sells their company to a Cerberus, to some kind of equity firm that doesn't have that paternal deal with people? It doesn't have that years and years and years of connection with families, and just says, the heck with you guys.
Well, I'm not sure they're ever going to do that. I mean, look, I think the reality...
You don't think they're going to sell to these companies?
Well, I think they're selling them, but I don't think anybody walks away from them. I think the strength of the auto industry, the strength of the domestic auto industry, is the family. I mean, these are all family-based businesses.
So you're confident that these corporations will stick to, even if they're owned by new people, that they will stick to their commitments?
I think so, because I think that's the strength of the companies. I mean, you know, my family's a General Motor family. My father spent 32 years on a line at Fisher Body.
That way.
Yeah, and I think
buy a car, you buy General Motors.
I normally do, yeah. General Motors, Ford. I happen to have a Chrysler.
You see a guy driving a Benz around here, a Toyota. Does it bother people or not?
It bothers some. It bothers some. I mean, it doesn't bother me because I think that's the market.
Should we ask these guys tomorrow what kind of car you got?
That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
I don't know. It could be tricky.
It could be tricky, but you know, you get the Democrats coming in complaining about CAFE standards, and they're all the ones driving the SUV, the gas guzzler. So there's a bit of irony there and some hypocrisy. But look, the domestic auto industry built the middle class. ass if it didn't build America. That's for sure.
So the typical voter out here is a Reagan Democrat who drives a off-road vehicle. He probably has a gun. He thinks independently. Right.
He's got a boat. He's probably got a snowmobile as well, and he's a hunter. And you know, he looks at the candidates and wants to see where they're going to take America. I mean, they want leaders.
My hunch was right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Saul Anuzis, who's head of the Republican Party in Michigan.